Hi, today we're going to make Airheads out of polymer clay. An airhead is an actual plant, but I'm going to make the little creature that holds it. Join us, it'll be a lot of fun. Hi, this is Tweek. Today we're going to make an airhead out of polymer clay. Now, polymer clay is an oil-based or petroleum-based product. So when you work with clay, you don't want to work on a surface that's porous, that's fabric, or that's wood, because it could leave a residue. It could leave some of its color. So be careful with that. I'm using a piece of countertop, and it's a nice level place, and it also, as I work with the clay, doesn't put any imprints into it because it's smooth. So let's start there. Come to the project with clean hands, and as you change colors, you might want to have a rag or something damp to clean your fingers so you don't drag colors into each other unless you want to. We're going to start with the airheads by getting about an ounce of clay. Now the clay comes in different sizes. You can get them in little packs like this, and you can get them in larger sizes. So I wanted to use yellow, and I had yellow that was in the larger size, so I'm knocking it back to a 1 ounce size. It's good to keep all your clay. All the leftover bits can be used. So what I'm going to do is take the clay, and my hand warms the clay, and then as you can start squishing it, then you know you're ready to start forming it into whatever shape you want. And to make an airhead, I want a flat cylinder. So I'm rolling it out, and I'm going to punch it down a little bit. And I'm trying to shape him into, let's see what the size, oh, that looks good. So this is about the size I want. I want him to be flat on the bottom, so when he's baked, he will sit and not topple over, but I do kind of roll the edge just a little bit to round it. See, just round a little bit. So now we have the start of our little airhead. Next, I'm going to create a mouth. I'm going to take a tool that I have that's going to dig out some of the clay, and I'm just going to go about halfway down. I'm just going to push in and pull out the clay like you're slicing cheese. Very, very soft cheese. Keep all the little bits because they can be used later. I'm going to take another tool that has a round tip, and I'm just going to smooth out the inside of the mouth. And the edges are tucked. You can dig it in a little deeper if you want, but I think that's good there. Next, we're going to put the back of the mouth in, and that's where I take a lump of black that I had kicking around and pinch off a little bit of it. And I'm going to form this into a ball, and I'm going to flatten it. But what you're doing is you're creating the back of his mouth. That'll make his teeth show up better, actually. Now I was using black clay, so I want to just damp rag, just pull any residue of the black color off your fingers if you can. So you come into the white in particular with some clean hands, and I'm just going to pinch off a little bit of it, and I'm making like a smile shape, and then I'm going to place it into his mouth. This is a nutcracker tool that I got out of the kitchen. So what I'm going to do is come up around the side between the white and the yellow, and I'm trying to create a mouth area for him where his smile is going to be. I'm going to form 3 teeth, so I'm just going to take the sharp end of the tool and go straight up into his gum line and come up again into his gum line. He's going to have some really wacky teeth, but that's what we want. So I'm going to make a little bit of a space between that tooth and a little bit of a space between that tooth, and eventually I've got the clay separated enough, so now we've got his wacky teeth thing going here. So I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow, and I'm just going to roll your hand, you roll your finger across the clay, and that stretches it out. And I'm going to stretch it out just enough for it to become his lips. So I'm laying that piece to cover up the imperfections at the top of the teeth. And now it gives a little more definition to his mouth. And I'm just going to smooth that in. So now he's got his crazy lips. We're going to take a little bit of pink and give him a tongue. Here again, leftover pink, I'm going to pull off some, and I'm going to form a tongue. Just flatten it out so it's thinner in the back and round in the front, like a teardrop. I'm going to use the bigger ball thing here to tap it in. And I'm actually adding some contour to the tongue as I go down. So we've got his tongue placed, and I kind of smoothed it in to his mouth. And the clay is so soft that if you want to change anything, you want to rip out his teeth and add new teeth, you can add new teeth. If you want a different color tongue, everything right now is very changeable. Here's my leftover white. I'm going to pull off 2 chunks. Now I'm going to roll this into balls, and if I need more, I want to put the eyes on his forehead there. I'm going to pull a little more off. So I want 2 even-sized balls of white. So I think that's pretty good. I want to affix them, and the way I do that is by pushing a glass bead into the clay, and that will be his eyeball. Now, when you use a bead, you have to use a glass bead or a metal. You cannot use plastic because chances are it could melt, so I stick with glass. And I think that's the right size. And then I'm just going to use my thumbs and push the bead into his eyes. That's very cute. I'm going to take a little more black. So I'm just using my finger, tip of my finger, to roll out the clay. If you use 2 fingers and start in the center and work your way out, the clay gets much thinner faster. Cut this in half. And I'm going to just rim the eye with the black, starting at the center. And then I'm going to pat it onto the clay to hold it in place. And then I'll come on the other side. And so here's what we've got so far. He's looking like a combination of both, but I think he looks pretty friendly. Where his mouth is, I'm going to use a tool to come up next to the tooth and just press up to give him a little more of a laugh. You see the difference? So I'm going to come up the other side and just press up. And now he's got more of a laugh going on. And I'm going to add cheeks. So I'm going to come just above where the laugh line is. And I'm just going to put the little teeny yellow clay ball there. So it just comes up under his eyes and give just a little bit of a push. So now he's got some cheeks. So I'm making arms. So it's going to be thinner on one side and thicker at the other. The thicker side is going to be the hands. Now this looks to me, that's pretty close. So I'm going to attach the thinner end up top. We can do it at the same time, so get them lined up. Now, how do you want his arms to hang? Do you want him to hang like that? That's kind of cute. What I usually do is I pull them up underneath his tongue. And I'm pressing the clay onto the body so that it's going to stay there. And he needs fingers, so I'm taking the nutcracker again and just going to press in 2, 3. And he's got fingers on that side. And 1, 2, 3. So now he's got his arms and his fingers. Okay, what's next? So I'm going to take this tool. I could use the nutcracker tool too, but anything that's going to give you an indentation but not real sharp. We're just going to very gently poke into his head and start wiggling that ball around. So you've got a hole there in his head, and you're going to stretch it out and push down gently. I don't want to muck up his face too much, so I'm going very gently. And that is what's going to give him his wacky hair when the airplant gets in there. Now that looks good, but I want it to be a little bit deeper so it can hold a little bit bigger plant. I'm just gently pressing and going around. Now if you go too far, you'll go right through the clay, so you need to be careful of how thin the edges get. And that's what we've got there. A big enough space so that we can push an airhead in there, and that will finish off our little guy here. So I have my dedicated oven in a place that's outside for ventilation. You don't want to do this in the house. When I place them on the tile, I want to make sure that they're secure. You know, press them down a little bit on the tile so that they come out and they can stand on their own. This is just a tile I had, and it fits in my oven, and that's why I bake the polymer clay on the tile in the oven. The temperature is 275 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes, and that will bake them. They will be hot when they get done, so you need to let them completely cool before you take them off the tray and then go on to the next step. So here he is, fresh out of the oven. Now all the clay is hard, so now we have another thing to do before we finish him off. Is I'm going to dump him in shellac, and I'm going to take him and he's going to go for a bath, and I'm just going to bring him right back up. I've got little fingers here to hang on to him. His mouth gets a little bit of shellac in it, so I try to angle it so it drips out, but look at how pretty the color is. And I set him down, and in a few moments I'll move him so he doesn't get stuck to that part of the paper. Just move him away, and he dries, and then he'll be finished. What are those? Do you want to see what they're? No, that's just an air plant. See, we made these little guys here, and the air plant sits in the back of their head. But if you look at them, they look like they got wacky hairdos. Kind of like you. No, your hair is okay. So anyways, there you go. We made our Airheads. If you like what you've seen here today, subscribe to our channel, give us a like, and leave a comment, because everyone needs an Airhead, right? And then what do we say?
See you next time.